When we talk about intelligence in a woman, it is easy to focus on the outer manifestations, academic accolades, articulate speech, strategic thinking. But none of these outer achievements mean much if the inner world remains in disorder. One of the most defining habits of a highly intelligent woman is her mastery over the *** inner dialogue ***. She understands that the mind is both a tool and a trap, and the way she speaks to herself in silence is the blueprint for every decision she will make in the visible world. Most people live in reaction. They are tossed around by thoughts they didn't choose, feelings they never examined, and beliefs they inherited, not questioned. But the intelligent woman is different. She does not merely inherit her thoughts, she investigates them. She does not accept every internal voice as truth, she filters them through the lens of awareness. This self-examination is not indulgent or soft. It is rigorous and disciplined. She is not interested in affirmations that feel good. She seeks the kind of clarity that cuts through illusion. The mind is loud, especially when it is left untrained. Thoughts multiply, emotions get entangled, and before long, the noise inside is louder than the world outside. A woman who lacks inner mastery becomes a servant to this chaos. She guesses herself, chases approval, avoids solitude, and ends up acting from fear, not wisdom. But the highly intelligent woman does the opposite. She *** sits with her thoughts until they reveal their nature ***. She doesn't escape into distraction or external validation. Instead, she cultivates stillness, knowing that the most important conversation she will ever have is the one she has with herself in silence. She observes her thoughts the way a martial artist studies their opponent, not to fight, but to understand. Is this thought helpful or harmful? Is it rooted in truth or in trauma? Is it mine or something I absorbed unconsciously from someone else's pain? This level of inquiry requires courage. It is far easier to be reactive, to point fingers outward, to blame the world for our unrest. But the intelligent woman has learned through experience or suffering that peace is not something the world grants you. It is something you build thought by thought in the privacy of your own mind. That's why she is slow to speak and deliberate with her words. She knows words are just the tip of the iceberg beneath. Every sentence lies an entire architecture of thought. And so, before she speaks to others, she studies how she speaks to herself. She's not afraid of silence because she's made peace with her inner voice. This voice no longer judges or condemns her. It guides her with strength and softness in equal measure. And when it doesn't, she corrects it, not through force but through awareness. She is not at war with her mind, she is its teacher. This habit of inner mastery is not about perfection. It's not that she never doubts herself or never feels fear. She does, but she has trained herself to notice when those emotions are speaking louder than reason. She knows that thoughts are not commands, they are suggestions, and she is not obligated to obey every one of them. She can choose this simple truth ***, that she can choose her response ***, is what sets her apart. It gives her a quiet but unshakable power. She doesn't need to control everything outside of her because she has learned to command what's inside. This doesn't make her rigid or emotionless. On the contrary, she feels deeply, but she's not a slave to what she feels. She has the emotional fluency to name her experience without becoming it. If anxiety arises, she doesn't label herself as anxious. She says anxiety is present, and she examines it. If anger visits, she doesn't suppress it or unleash it blindly. She investigates its origin, and in doing so, reclaims control over her state of being. She does not deny her humanity. she refines it. Many will misunderstand her silence. They will assume she is shy, reserved, or cold. But they won't see the depth of the work being done within. They won't realize that her silence is not emptiness, it is containment. Her mind is not scattered, it is disciplined. Her emotions are not absent, they are channeled, and that makes her presence powerful even before she speaks. This internal mastery naturally radiates outward. When conflict arises, she doesn't escalate. When she's disrespected, she doesn't respond from ego. When life becomes uncertain, she doesn't collapse into panic. Why? Because her *** inner dialogue remains intact ***. It reminds her who she is, what she values, and where she's going. She doesn't let passing circumstances define her identity. She returns again and again to the sanctuary of her inner clarity, and this is something many women are not taught. We are conditioned to be agreeable, to shrink in the face of tension, to seek reassurance from others. But the intelligent woman breaks that conditioning. She understands that no amount of outer harmony will ever make up for inner confusion. So she chooses to cultivate the kind of clarity that doesn't depend on others. She gives herself the permission, the patience, and the presence that the world often withholds. To master your inner dialogue is to take full responsibility for the direction of your life. It is to stop waiting for permission to trust yourself. It is to wake up each day and decide that your thoughts will not be left to chance, that they will be sculpted, refined, and sharpened until they align with the woman you are becoming. And in doing so, you become dangerous not to others, but to everything that once limited you. You become immune to manipulation, resistant to chaos, and rooted in a peace that no one can steal. That is the power of mastering the inner dialogue. ***. So ask yourself, when no one is watching and the world is silent, what kind of conversation are you having with yourself? If that voice were a person, would you trust her? Would you follow her into the unknown? If not, then perhaps it's time to meet her, challenge her, and teach her who you truly are. ***. In today's world, silence is almost suspicious. We're conditioned to believe that productivity equals noise, that success must be loud, and that relevance demands visibility. But a highly intelligent woman defies this conditioning. She is not afraid of silence. She chooses ***it. She doesn't fill every space with commentary, nor does she compete in the theater of urgency. Where others rush to be seen, she slows down to truly see. This is not an act of weakness nor avoidance. It is a conscious withdrawal from the chaos in order to cultivate clarity. Highly intelligent women understand that stillness is not the absence of movement, it is the presence of depth. And depth cannot emerge in haste. You cannot hear the wisdom of your inner world when you are constantly tuned to the volume of the external one. That's why she resists the pressure to always respond, to constantly explain, or to endlessly prove herself. She doesn't perform for approval. Instead, she rests in awareness. She watches more than she speaks, absorbs more than she reacts to, and waits not passively, but with precision. Stillness for her is not a retreat. It is a recalibration. It is the space where her true intelligence gathers. Most people live on mental autopilot, reacting to whatever stimulus enters their orbit. But she knows that reaction is not power. Reflection is. The mind that is constantly engaged is easily manipulated, but the mind that can pause, observe, and ***, not immediately act ***, that mind is dangerous in the best way. It cannot be controlled because it does not rush to please. In the spaces where others fumble to fill the silence, she breathes. She lets the tension rise, lets the moment hang a little longer, lets the question echo, because in that pause, she discerns truth. She doesn't rush to give answers because she's not afraid of not knowing. Intelligence, after all, is not just knowing facts. It's knowing when to wait, when to ask better questions, and when to remain quiet while others reveal themselves. This stillness gives her an aura that is both magnetic and mysterious. People are drawn to her, but they can't always explain why. It's not in what she says, it's in what she withholds. She doesn't offer her energy carelessly. She doesn't join every conversation or share every opinion. Why? Because she doesn't need to. Her identity isn't stitched together by external engagement. Her value is not up for debate. She has nothing to prove, and that is exactly what makes her powerful. She has learned sometimes the hard way that the world will try to bait you into noise. It will poke at your insecurities, provoke your ego, and challenge your silence with suspicion, but she doesn't take the bait. She sees the setup for what it is. She knows that every time she breaks her stillness unnecessarily, she leaks energy. And the highly intelligent woman is protective of her energy, not because she's closed off, but because she's selective. Not every battle deserves her involvement, not every question deserves an answer, and not every insult deserves her dignity. You see, true power doesn't need an audience. It doesn't boast. It doesn't defend itself constantly. It just is. That's why she doesn't speak to be heard, she speaks to be understood. And if understanding is not possible, she holds her peace. Because peace to her is not just a feeling, it's a practice. It's an internal state she defends with boundaries, discernment, and yes, with stillness. But stillness is not easy, especially for women who have been taught to overextend themselves, to speak when they're uncomfortable, to accommodate even at their own expense. To unlearn that is an act of rebellion. It is a return to sovereignty. The intelligent woman is not quiet because she is timid. She is quiet because she knows the value of her presence, and she does not waste it on noise. Silence, for her, is a form of discipline. It's where she regulates her thoughts, observes her patterns, and aligns herself before taking any step forward. She knows that rushed action without rooted awareness leads to regret, so she waits, she listens, and when she moves, she does so with intention, not to react, but to respond with full consciousness. There is also a spiritual dimension to this stillness. In quietude, she meets herself in ways that noise could never allow. In stillness, she is no longer performing, she is present. She becomes her own mirror. She reflects on the deeper questions. Who am I beneath my roles? What do I truly desire beyond what the world expects of me? What am I willing to walk away from in order to preserve my alignment? These are not questions that come to those who live in distraction. They arise only in silence, and she is brave enough to listen. Sometimes the most intelligent thing you can do is not speak. Not act. Not respond. But to wait, to observe, and to trust that silence, when chosen consciously, is not absence. It is power in its most undiluted form. It is the mind sharpening itself. It is the spirit recalibrating. It is the woman remembering that she is not here to prove anything. She is here to embody something deeper. And yes, this may confuse others. It may even unsettle them. But she does not live for their comfort. She lives in devotion to her inner clarity, and if silence is the path that leads her there, she walks it without apology. So let others rush. Let them fill the void with noise. Let them speak just to be heard. But remember, there is something far more commanding about a woman who is at peace in her own stillness. She does not beg to be seen. She does not chase to be understood. She simply is, and in that being, she changes the energy of every room she enters. In a world that glorifies noise, Be the woman who chooses stillness not because she has nothing to say, but because what she says is born from silence. And that kind of voice, once it speaks, echoes far beyond the noise. ***, emotions are not weaknesses. They are signals, messengers from the unseen parts of ourselves. But left unchecked, they can become distorted lenses, warping our perception and leading us into patterns that don't serve our highest good. A highly intelligent woman does not suppress her emotions, nor is she ruled by them. She holds